Hey guys, what's up? JK with Porn Reboot here. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 reasons why men slip and relapse during the first year of their recovery. Now the purpose of this is just to explain to my brothers out there that the reasons for your relapses vary from year to year. Understand that you're actually making progress as you rewire your brain. And if you're not aware of the things that make you relapse later in your recovery, then you're going to make the assumption that everything that's making you relapse now, early or maybe in the middle stage of your recovery, is what you should look out for. And when you're not aware of these things, that is when you find yourself very susceptible to slips and to relapses. Now, I've been doing this for about 7 years. I've been working with clients and helping men end their out of control behavior with porn, sex, and masturbation. And over the years, I've found the 5 major reasons why men slip in the first year. When I say the first year, I'm specifically referring to the later stage of the first year. Not the first 90 days, not the first 6 months, but more of the 9th, 10th, and the 11th month of their recovery. And this is common across the board, and I think for anybody who is serious about their recovery, this is something that you need to know. I don't see enough people talking about it. Maybe that's because there's just not many people who get to the 2-year, 3-year, 5-year point of recovery. So let's get into it. The first reason why is that some men have a desire to put their behavior with porn and masturbation behind them. What I mean by this is maybe they've made an investment with a coach, with a therapist, with a rehab center, or with some system or the other, and they have made progress. And that's great. However, they have this urgency to just kind of be done with it. They're like, I don't want to remember all the guilt and the shame and the pain that my addiction to porn and masturbation caused me. I want to move on with it. I really want to be recovered. I don't want to be the guy who's always doing a morning routine, or the guy who's reading books on controlling his behavior, or the guy who needs to be super aware when he's out and when there are attractive women around. And what this does for most men is that it puts them in a position where they decide to let go of accountability, coaching, and therapy because they just want to be done with it. They're like, hey, I've been controlling my behavior. I haven't had any slips. But it is very important to still have accountability even after the first year of your recovery. I'll give you an example. I have clients who've worked with me and stayed off porn for 2 to 5 years. And these men still reach out to me periodically during the year. It's just part of our system, just to check in, because different things are happening. So for instance, a man could be single when he was working with me, and then 1.5 years later, he's married, right? Or 2 years later, he's about to have a child. And each time, something is sometimes triggered within him that makes him worry about a potential slip. This is when he gets on a call with me. And this is where he might need a little bit more accountability as he goes through these different transition periods in his life. So it is very important to maintain accountability and therapy during the first 2 years of your recovery. The second reason why men slip is less focus on self-care in the first year. So maybe you started off your reboot journey really strong. You started exercising, you were meditating, you had a great schedule, you were going to sleep on time, you were eating right, you were putting yourself in the right communities, you were engaging in things that release dopamine that didn't have to do with pornography or online entertainment. So your life was great. However, a lot of men sometimes feel that they need to make up for lost time, especially if you feel that pornography robbed you of many experiences in life. And what I mean by this is a lot of men sometimes start off on that project that's been just sitting around that they haven't worked on. They start working on that project, they start that business, they go out and they start dating, and they start doing all these amazing things. Unfortunately, in the process of doing that, they sometimes let go of their self-care. So you're going out on dates, you're coming back hungover, you are working on your business, and you wake up in the morning, you don't put time aside for your recovery time, you start letting go of other healthy habits. But the thing was, all these healthy habits formed the foundation of your recovery. You let them go, and you justify it by saying that, well, I haven't slipped in months, it's been 8 months, I'm doing so well. And then you get surprised when you relapse. Brothers, it is so important to maintain your self-care during the first year and a half to 2 years of your recovery. It is one of the major reasons why men relapse during their first year. The third reason why men relapse in their first year is because they don't feel like they're learning anything new. And what happens is, during the first year, especially during the first 3 months, you learn so much about recovery. At least if you are using our system. Within the first 90 days, you've learned everything you need to learn to control your behavior during the first year. However, a lot of men feel that it's a repetition, right? So they just feel like, man, 6 months later, I'm still focusing on my awareness. I'm still focusing on self-care. I'm still focusing on identifying my addict voice and becoming aware of that. I'm still focusing on building relationships. Like, I already know these things. I don't need to go to a group or listen to somebody who's telling me and reminding me to do these things. However, during that first year, one of the things that happens when men start leaving groups or start leaving coaching or start leaving therapy is that they lose the ability to hear the voice of their addict. See, this is a very difficult journey to take on your own because your addict, that part of you that is addicted, is as cunning and as intelligent as you are. And sometimes it takes another person or hearing another person's story to actually let you know what the deal is, to actually remind you that, hey, there's something that's going on with you, with your addict that you're not aware of. I'll give you an example. We had a brother who had been in our program for quite a few months. He was almost within his first year, and then he slipped. However, he had been doing very well, no porn, no masturbation for months and months. Now, what he shared in our group was very important for everybody else, especially those who were kind of getting a little slack and getting a little relaxed with their recovery. Because this brother slipped during his birthday. And what had happened was that he was hiding his age. You know, as some men get into their 30s, they get a little bit insecure about their age, especially when it comes to dating and meeting women. So he just hadn't been sharing his age or his birthday on Facebook. But as he went through the program, he started doing some work on himself and becoming more secure in who he was. So this time he determined that on his birthday, he was going to share his age. So he did that and he received some, people wishing him happy birthday on Facebook. Unfortunately, he didn't get that many texts. He didn't get as many messages as he hoped to receive. And what this did was that this brought up a lot of insecurities, a lot of loneliness, a lot of feelings of unappreciation from people who he considered to be his close friends and family. And this caused him to slip. And this was an important lesson for everyone in the group because then they realized that there are certain anniversaries, there are certain milestones in your recovery that you just don't know that they are loaded. They're loaded with triggers. And it is until you get there or until you learn from another person in the group that this is possible that you know about it. If not, the only way you can learn is through a major relapse down the line, right? So it's best to stay with the group, to stay with your therapist, to stay with your coach so that you are aware of some of the, let's call them potential mines in the minefield down the road. The fourth reason why men slip in their first year is that sometimes you feel that you should be beyond the basics. You're like, you know what, I've done the stop fapping thing, I've been through JK's program, I've gone through therapy, but then you find that there's still things that you don't understand. So for instance, you may find that once in a while you experience these very, very strong urges 8 months, 9 months, 10 months later, but you're embarrassed because you feel that you should know better. So you think you know what's going on. I'll give you an example. Some men experience very, very strong urges. Some men suddenly experience a resurgence of their PIED. Some men have spontaneous depression during the first year. But what they don't realize and what they haven't learned is that their withdrawal symptoms don't simply show up during the early stages of your recovery. The thing about withdrawal symptoms is that they can pop up at different times as your brain rewires. Now, if you don't know about that and you make the assumption that you know everything about recovery, then you put yourself at a risk for relapse because your ego is not going to allow you to reach out for help. And the fifth and final reason why men relapse in their first year of rebooting is when you feel that you have a very, very deep, not basic, but deep understanding of your behavior with porn, masturbation, and orgasm. And these are the men who get to a point where they feel like, you know what, I can go out and start helping other men. They've really invested in this image of themselves as somebody who can control this behavior. And so you feel that, you know what, I know everything about it. I've read so many books. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you actually do know everything. But the problem is that this holds you back from reaching out for help when you slip. So you slip, and in your head, you truly believe that, listen, I know everything. I know exactly what's going on. In reality, you may have no idea. And there are men, unfortunately, who relapse, and they are in this relapse. It lasts for months and sometimes years. But they never reach out for help because they truly believe, because you have deluded yourself into believing that you know what you're doing. And this just makes you very unhappy. It puts you in a very stagnant place in life. You find yourself being stuck. So brothers, please be aware of that one. That's a very big one. And you guys know yourself, those of you who are watching this video. All right, brothers, that's what I have for you today. Those are the 5 reasons why men relapse during the first year of their recovery. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please go ahead and share it with 3 men whom you feel might benefit from it. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment. Tell me your thoughts on what you think. Now, if you're looking for support for your out-of-control behavior with porn, sex, and masturbation, there are 2 things I can do to help you. The first one is download a free copy of my ebook. It's called Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men. And there's a description to it in the link below. And the second way is to join our free Facebook group. It's the Porn Reboot group on Facebook. This is a private Facebook group where you can get yourself an accountability partner, get yourself some support, get access to my workbooks, and more training on how to control this behavior. I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'll speak to you later in the week.